Skull.
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 We're as off-timed as the
Skull.
crowd in London,
Skull. Oh,
or at
I'm with you
least the
now.
bar I was at.
Oh, we're stroking. Oh, never mind.
Well, I don't know. We were off, but the Minnesota Vikings are 5-0 despite 6 interesting quarters of offensive football that we will get into. But welcome to the Skolcial Network. Brev is back. Brev is alive. How are you feeling, Brev?
I'm good. I'm fine. I'm all right. Don't worry about me. Shout out to Edmund for filling in my place. What was that last one?
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes. Well, let me just make sure. I know you weren't feeling great, but were you at least smelling great?
I was smelling great. I took super, super duper hot shower, made me feel real good inside. And I think everybody knows what I was using in the shower. And that, of course, is the official men's wellness self care toiletries of the Skolcial Network. And that is Dr. Squatch. And I will put the link in the bio this time. And I meant to do that today when you texted me. And then I was at work and I forgot about it. But that's fine. But yeah, you can go down to that link below, save yourself $10 off your first purchase of 20 plus. Maybe, first hot take of the episode might smell even better when you're under the weather.
Wow, really open up those sinuses.
Yeah.
Feel like a man, smell like Scotial.
Like Skolcial or something.
I'm putting that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Um, Said it last night. I'll say it again. Vikings tickets going up in price. A lot of people here in March were ranting about selling their season tickets and how it would cost you $30 to get into US Bank Stadium. Oh, not so fast, my friends. The Minnesota Vikings are 5-0, leading the NFC North, and are going to be hitting the bye week and returning in 2 weeks from today with a key matchup against the Detroit Lions. If you haven't caught a game yet, go ahead and catch one. Use code BREV or code JasonH on SeatGeek. Save $20 off your first purchase. Now I know what you're saying. $20 doesn't sound like a lot, but $20 covers 1 to 2 beers at US Bank Stadium, which you're going to need to celebrate with your friends during the fight song after we get some touchdowns in the end zone, let Justin Jefferson hit the gritty. Let's talk about today. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning to leave my house by 5:30 to go to a local Vikings bar. Um, and I think since then I've had a Red Bull and like 4 Dr. Peppers. Your boy is
Nice.
jacked out of his mind on caffeine.
Love it.
Uh, Interesting game, I
To say
think, is a decent way to
good way.
summarize it.
It's an all right way. I think if you were like analyzing this from a logical standpoint, like going into this game, which of course I would have loved to share my opinion, but I just physically could not do it on the pregame show last night. This was always going to be an ugly game. Uh, the 17-point lead really never felt safe. And maybe that's just being a Vikings fan and blowing leads and always having to be in close games from the past couple of years. But it was a 7-point lead that really didn't feel all that secure, and lo and behold, it wasn't. But a win is a win is a win is a win. And I am officially a little bit concerned about the Vikings offense, judging by the last 6 quarters.
Yeah, and here we go. Wow, you guys are 3 minutes in and you're already negative and the team's 5-0. I think you have to talk about it, right? Because for those first few games, the thing that stood out was yes, the defense was great, but the offense was doing what it needed to do and putting up a lot of points. We haven't seen that in the last 6 quarters. Something's happened right now. In isolation, you could say the Packers game was a weird situation. And again, to your point, like these London games kind of turn into Thursday night ball. It's just an absolute mess. People were slipping all over the field on that temporary turf. But there are some things that are concerning. I think obviously losing Aaron Jones was bad. For the reports I've seen, what's his face? Florio put out that they believe he'll be back for week 6, and I think it's just a hip pointer, which I know for a running back like hurts like a mofo, but bye week. Um, but yeah, like Darnold statistically 31 attempts, only 14 completions, which is rough. But yardage wise, he was right where he'd kind of been for a couple games this season, 179. And then obviously no touchdowns, one interception. But he didn't, to your point saying like it never felt secure, I felt secure in the defense. Now I know they
Yeah.
gave up 2 touchdowns, but like it's Aaron Rodgers. That's a
Mhm.
huge win on the defense's part. And they picked him off 3 times. But I wasn't worried about the defense giving us problems and causing us to lose. I was worried about the offense turning the ball over in a scoring play like a pick six or a scoop and score fumble. And luckily that didn't happen.
Yeah. And I guess you can really spin zone it into the positive, which I mean, again, we should be positive, but I think looking at the long term, kind of the longevity of what the Vikings are doing right now, which they are undefeated. Yay. The offense is a bit touchy in the last 6 quarters, and it's super nitpicky to go, well, the Jets technically scored more points offensively than the Vikings. Luckily, Andrew Van Ginkel returned that interception for a pick six, and then the offense just complete disappearing act um, the last 6 quarters. Like I said, especially last week when they almost blew a 20 something point lead against Green Bay. You can definitely spin zone it into, man, this defense is really good, and it's almost it's so consistent now. I don't even want to say consistent. It seems like a philosophy now where the offense gets out to a lead, mostly in the first half, and then it's like they go over to the sideline and they're like, "Hey, defense, can you keep it?" So I don't know.
It's
And
a
then
challenge. It's just a like
yeah, they're
a
just having
double
fun.
dare.
They're just dudes being guys, and it rocks. This is so Sam Darnold, and I know we're gonna touch on some of the pushback you received on saying maybe Sam Darnold probably isn't going to be the starter next year. Breaking news. Sam
Maybe
Darnold
not.
definitely to the eye, to the box score, seemed like his worst game of the year. That's because it pretty much was. But there was one thing I really liked what Sam Darnold was doing today, and that was I loved seeing him force the ball downfield.
Yeah.
Um, I loved how much he was targeting Justin. He targeted Justin Jefferson 14 times, and I don't know if that includes the 5 penalties JJ drew. I really don't.
I think it does. If I'm not
That'd be crazy.
mistaken.
It'd be crazy if it didn't.
I think it does. It doesn't show the targets here, but Jefferson had 6 receptions for
If
92 yards.
Jefferson had 14 targets, is what he finished with today, and he
Yeah,
drew
and
5 penalties.
which is and good on Darnold. Like again,
Yeah,
so I guess we'll just kind of get into it, and then you and I will assess. We'll talk through basically. I know you're not on Twitter, but I'm sure you can kind of figure the top 3 people/groups getting blamed for the offense. I had made a statement. Again, I've shared on the show. I'm a USC fan. Sky U Mob, whatever, roast me. But
yes.
I have a lot of, and the Dodgers last time I checked were down, so I stopped watching because every time I watch the Padres hit home runs, so I'm superstitious. Um, but where was I going with this? I made
Uh,
an observation that what Darnold was doing today, and look, the Jets are a great defense. The field was slippery. His running back was injured, but there were times where he was genuinely overthrowing his open receivers.
hey,
And
he was
that's the
his
thing
ball
that concerned me.
placement. His ball placement was right.
That's
That play to JJ, it was kind of like a wheel route type deal concept with an in breaking route inside of it, I guess, to try to kind of cross the defenders. Which Kevin O'Connell, he's a his play calling,
psychopath.
yeah. Um, that I don't. I'll have to see the all 22 of it, but that throw that he did complete to Jefferson, so credit for that. But like that should have been probably should have been a touchdown, if not at least 15 more yards. So
Yeah.
that was an example of the ball placement that was pretty concerning from Darnold today. And I just want to say we all knew that he wasn't going to throw for 50 touchdowns this year because that's what he was on pace to do to begin the year, and that eventually he would come back to earth a little bit. Um, and not to harp on the being called negative, but like that's just what's going to happen. So I don't say that as I'm in a victory lap saying this was right. I'm saying this was going to happen the entire time and it should have been expected.
If there's
That
ever a time for you to come back to Twitter, it's now. It is now
No,
because
it sounds like the opposite.
no, we need you. We need you because You're right. Ball placement was the concern, right? And again, we have kind of a patchwork tight end group right now. Hawk is coming back maybe in 2 weeks if we're lucky. Maybe against the Rams. I think they open the 21-day window so he doesn't have to play against the Rams because it's a Thursday night game. Because I think Friday would be the 21 days. So I think it's technically they're giving themselves extra time if needed. But I said I love Sam Darnold, and this Jets defense is really good. But what we're seeing from Darnold right now is why McCarthy is your starter next year. And there have been people online, and you're not even on Twitter, and I'm sure you know this discourse is happening, that up through 4 games have said the Vikings should consider extending Darnold and putting JJ on the bench for 2 years. I disagree adamantly. And as thankful as I am to have Darnold as our quarterback, because it could be a hell of a lot worse, I still think when I look at that ball placement issue and I think, okay, McCarthy can scramble, Darnold can scramble. McCarthy can throw the deep ball, Darnold can throw the deep ball. Accuracy, McCarthy puts me over the edge. I also look at McCarthy's stats, and Thor Nystrom made a similar point on Twitter, and people responded similarly to him as well. He brought up, and one of the big things that sold me on McCarthy was him talking about McCarthy's uh, kind of big time throw and his third down conversion, leading the nation in college football. Those are plays where if you have that mentality and there is a little bit of that dog, that aura side, I'm going to pick this third up down. I'm going to pick up this third down come hell or high water. It matters. And people mostly agreed, but a lot of people got very angry saying it was an emotional reaction and I'm hopping off the bandwagon. No, I am super excited about this 5-0 team. But from an overhead view, remember, like we're paying Kirk Cousins what, 28 million this year to not be on the
Mm-hmm.
team?
Yep.
And are we how much is Daniil's dead cap hit?
That I don't know.
But there is one.
There's
I'm
a little
pretty
bit.
sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, like we're doing that not to say, all right, we're gonna get rid of all these pretty talented guys, pay them a ton of money not to play her, and immediately go win a Super Bowl. It just so happens that in what was very much purposefully set up as a rebuild, retool year, that this team's insanely competitive. But that
Yep.
doesn't mean you change the plans you invested in for the future. And I think people in the replies kind of forgot Darnold was a free agent and is going to play himself into a pretty damn pricey multi-year contract. And I don't think you just suddenly do that because he plays well. And short of a Super Bowl, JJ McCarthy's your guy. Doesn't mean we can't be stoked about Sam in the meantime. Yeah, today was rough, but like doesn't take away from what he did those first 3.5 weeks. It was insanely impressive.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear that I think we both are on the same page that like we completely understand the response of we're 5-0. We thought we were gonna win 7 games this year, and we're gonna have 7 games won by mid-November. Yeah, like we're super happy the Vikings are winning. Obviously, they're 5-0. We're already way past expectations. Now you just got to continue it.
Mm-hmm.
So we can celebrate, but we can also be, I don't want to say pessimistic, but you have to be realistic about what how the offenses look the last 6 quarters, and you also have to come off the we thought we were going to win 7 games this year. Okay, we're 5-0. The standard has changed. The
Yep.
Vikings are currently the best team in the NFL. So my standard is now winning playoff games, and I feel like that's not a ridiculous standard for how well the Vikings defense has played, for how well the offense has shown it could be at times, especially earlier in the season and in the first half of games. To this point, up until they scored they scored 10 points offensively in the first half this week. And again, ugly game. Knew it was going to be an ugly game against the Jets, but if as fans, we don't have to do anything. We can just sit back, watch, not care, whatever, think Sam Darnold is the starter, which again, not news that McCarthy is going to be the future. Darnold was brought here just to do exactly what he's doing now. We're just winning more games than we thought we would. Um,
Go get paid. Earn
yeah,
your paycheck.
it never works out where these former first round quarterbacks go to a different team after getting paid and excel. It doesn't happen. It's happening for
Gino, kind of.
Gino.
Baker.
Kind of Baker was going to be the one example I thought, but like you re-sign Sam Darnold, give Sam Darnold 39 to 41 million dollars a year after this year, and see what you do to your football team.
Yeah.
The quarterback hungry team will sign him this offseason, and we'll see the Mike Glennon, we'll see the Nick Foles effect to where, oh, we probably shouldn't have done. We'll see the Kirk Cousins effect and go, huh? Like the Kirk
Whoa,
Cousins
whoa.
thing,
He just threw for 500
yeah,
yards on 60 pass attempts. Come on. He's the best
hanging
quarterback
banner.
ever.
Yeah, awesome. It's
You
boom.
missed, dude. You missed that on Twitter too. People are like, "See, this is why we should have brought Kirk back." But again, like it comes, and we've talked about this all off season, and it just so happens that I think we're actually getting to experience the best of both worlds. So if anything, I'm like more optimistic than I would be otherwise because we've been in this thing since 2016, where every year it's okay. Teddy got us to the playoffs last year. This is going to be the year. Oh, we got hurt. Oh, we trade a first for Bradford because we're that close to competing. Oh, Bradford got hurt. Oh, he's back. This is, ooh, okay. Okay, Keenum. Oh, now we signed Kirk. And every year with Kirk, you're paying him that money. This is the year. It's all about this year. It doesn't always have to be like that. You can also say, hey, we are 5-0. Now the standard goes up because now we're not 5-0 for no. There's no point in winning 5 games just to plan to miss the playoffs and
Yeah.
get crap draft position, right? So
Yep.
now we can enjoy this year, but for the first time, we can also look to the future and be excited because we know something's there. And in
Yeah.
past years, it was, oh, it has to be this year because who knows if Kirk will extend next year? And will Daniil Hunter get traded? His contract's weird. Will Harrison take a team friendly deal? Like every offseason, it was the same thing. And like people can say it's pessimistic or you're hopping off the bandwagon. No, I'm stoked as hell we're 5-0 and that we're likely a playoff team that could win a game, 2 games. Hell, if this defense does what it's capable of and Darnold just runs the ship, we could make a Super Bowl. But I'm also really excited knowing that whatever happens this year, we're set to go in 2025. And that's going to tee us up for way beyond that.
Yeah.
I'm super
And
optimistic, not just about now.
we knew this was going to happen too. We knew Darnold
Oh
was
yeah,
going to play well. Maybe not this well. We knew there was going to be some kind of maybe we should roll with Sam Darnold. I just didn't know it would be after going 5-0.
5-0. I don't
Uh
blame people to your point, but I do think
no,
like take one step back and think about the fact he's a free agent. And I think you said like 39 to 40, which sounds kind of crazy for him, but like with the way the cap's moving and
that's the
quarterback demand
market.
is going, that's
That's
the
the market.
market for a good quarterback. And so far, sans a small sample size, he's looked good. But
Yeah.
you do not move on from Kirk Cousins just to do that because otherwise you should have just kept Kirk because I trust Kirk's arm more than Darnold's.
Yeah, you mentioned that I think before we started recording too. Like you are doing. Sam Darnold is here to place hold for the quarterback that you drafted because you got rid of the $40 million quarterback to move forward with the quarterback in your rookie contract. So from the other side of things, like it feels ridiculous to kind of even talk about this because we should just enjoy this year, enjoy our 1 year of Sam Darnold, I guess, because and I guess like don't think that Sam Darnold's going to be here past this year. It,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. Like, and I keep thinking, I really do think there is something other than your Mahomes and your Josh Allen's and your elite of the elite that after a quarterback gets paid, especially by a different team. First of all, franchise quarterbacks don't hit the open market.
Yep.
Once a quarterback gets paid fat by another team, it almost never ever works out. Look at the teams that are going to the playoffs consistently. Chiefs drafted their quarterback. Bills drafted their quarterback. 49ers
Eagles.
drafted their quarterbacks. They traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. Eagles drafted their quarterback. The Lions, I
Houston.
guess. Houston, exactly. The Lions, I guess, could be an exception, but Jared Goff is also one of those guys where I think you can put 11 or 12 other quarterbacks in his place and they do around the same, almost the
Yeah.
same exact thing. So there
Yeah.
are outliers for sure, but the overwhelming evidence is that when you pay a quarterback fat that you did not draft, that is proved, I don't want to say proved in the past because Darnold hasn't had the best go of things and the best luck about where he's ended up. And we all agree where he's at right now is his best opportunity. He is here to make a bag. He is here to win this year for sure. But the agreement between the Vikings and Sam Darnold is, hey, Sam, can you just hold us over till JJ's ready? Oh shit, he tore up his knee. We're definitely gonna need to rely on you for the entire season. Oh yeah, I'll play pretty good. It'd be cool if we win this year, but I think I'm gonna play really well and make a bag.
Everyone's happy. And look, if he wins the Super Bowl here, I'm open to re-signing him. However, I still think for us to win more Super Bowls after that, the best thing is to go with McCarthy.
Yeah, I wouldn't resign him after because
I
I'd
feel
have
like
to
you have to look at the guy who finally brings the
have
Vikings
to
their first Super Bowl
you'd have
and
to look
say,
back.
do we just owe you this franchise permanently, regardless of future results?
Yeah, and
And
we
part
brought
of
up
me would
the
even be tempted, but like I think if you're looking at who gives you the best chance to win multiple Super Bowls, it's going to be McCarthy and the cap space freedom that comes along with playing him.
yeah, and we brought up the example a week or two ago of Nick Foles. Like Nick Foles won the Super Bowl, and
Got
then
benched.
Doug Peterson's like, "Oh, thanks, Nick. Hey, Carson." The next year,
Yeah.
so it's Darnold is here
It's a
for
rough
1 year.
business. And
I thought we all agreed that Sam Darnold is here for 1 year, and that's
well,
it.
now I'm being called a fake fan and like I like we just spent like 10 minutes ranting about Sam Darnold. This isn't anti Sam Darnold. He has exceeded all expectations, but that does not change the long-term vision of the team. And I think today, despite a number of factors that weren't helping Darnold. And again, I'm rooting for his success as a Vikings fan and as somebody who watched him in college and rooted very heavily for him. I love Sam Darnold. But I think it's a good time to step back and say, hey, we're going to enjoy the hell out of this year. But I do think a lot of the people going suddenly from, oh, we got rid of Kirk, we'll be lucky to win 6 games, to, oh, it's Super Bowl or bust. Pause. Hell yeah, I'd love to win a Super Bowl, but let's also not make decisions that are going to destroy the next few years because that's all we've done for like 10 years.
And Sam Darnold, he's already like honestly, he could just be mid for the rest of the season, and he's already earned himself a backup quarterback job for the next 10 years. He's
At
already done that.
minimum. Yeah.
Very, very
At
minimum.
minimum.
So now it's all
He'll
about him. He can set up his grandkids if he continues to play like this. And well, not like he did today, but continues to be efficient. And maybe I think he can definitely come up around 30 touchdowns because he's going to have those games, especially as we come up to the lighter part of the schedule, where he's going to have he'll only have like 195 to 220 yards, but he'll throw 3 or 4 touchdowns. So
Yeah, the thing that got me too was people being like, "Well, what are you going to do when McCarthy throws an interception?" Like, not be a fan of him? No. It's again, I'm not mad at Darnold for his performance, but I think and I'm guilty of this too, like we were riding the wave so much that we lost sight of like what this team really is and what the focus is. They're a very good team still in a rebuild. A lot of teams in rebuilds are ass. And
mhm.
we're in a rebuild and we're undefeated. That's all upside now and in the future. But when it comes to the offense, I'm sure you could probably guess two people in one group getting blame online. Do you think most of this falls on Darnold, Kevin O'Connell's play calling, or do you think it's on the offensive line not being consistent?
I really just think they played a really good defense today. And again, like these aren't the kind of games where you go in and you question your faith in your play caller, your head coach, your quarterback, your offense in general. Because you know the Jets defense is stout. Like you know it's gonna be an ugly game. I would hope most people thought, yeah, we're probably not gonna blow the Jets out. Although again, I wouldn't blame them for thinking that because we blew out Houston.
Houston.
So like the Jets are such a they're they'll go down, but they'll kind of drag you down to the depths with you.
They're gritty, and I hate to use that term gritty because it's kind of been repurposed by Detroit, and I don't like them. But no, like they got that New York persona.
Well, you have to think about the context too. Like New York played an absolute stinker, and I'm a complete believer in week to week momentum. Like I knew they were going to come out and make things interesting. Especially, and I don't want Aaron Rodgers led team, yeah, but I don't want to like give him a ton of credit because he had a pretty not
No,
good
that
day.
defense after losing to Bo
Yeah,
Nix, they were gonna come out kind of pissed.
yeah, absolutely. So huge believer in week to week momentum, and I'm okay with this performance today. A, because they need to win games like this, so you can't
Yeah.
blow everyone out every week. Shocker. Sam Darnold can't play like the MVP every week. Shocker. So they need to play in these kind of annoying games where they're not quite going to pull away, which again we should all be used to by judging by the last 2 or 3 years of Vikings football. But these kind of adversity, there wasn't that much adversity, but just like the game was never like a sure thing. And I think maybe myself included, we got a little too into like, oh yeah, we're blowing teams out. Like
Yeah.
you're just not going to do it every week. And the
Not even the
reason
Chiefs do. Like not
no,
even your Super Bowl champions do.
and the reason I'm like so concerned about the offense, like I'm not concerned going forward. I truly do believe Kevin O'Connell is going to fix it. The reason I think I'm so adamant about the topic is that okay, we're going into a bye week, so now I'm actually kind of happy we have this bye week, judging by the last
Same.
6 quarters of football. Like, all right, Kevin, you better be at TCO this week. Just like figure it out. And also, you have Detroit coming out of the bye week. So you gotta you gotta kind of be like, this is by far, and we do it 10 times a year where we call it the biggest game of the season, but Detroit's the biggest game of the season so far.
Which is
And then
so weird to say.
you're on a short week and you play LA.
Yeah, here's the good news. I think Detroit's pass rush, and I could be statistically wrong, is comparable to what they probably had to face from the Jets. Maybe better, but their defensive backs are not as good.
Yeah, I am more confident about moving the ball on Detroit for sure than the Jets,
Yeah.
than moving the ball on the Jets, but vice versa. Way more concerned about Detroit moving the ball and figuring out Flores against us. And at this point, Dan Campbell kind of just owns Kevin O'Connell. So
I mean,
he does.
eh,
Yeah,
eh.
he does. He
Oh
kind
yeah,
of does.
Kevin only has one win against them. Well,
Yes.
I mean, but here's my thing. Um, People started going back to like, oh, we all said it last year. So I another tweet. I said it's time to extend both Quasi and KOC because everybody so far has been extend KOC, but I was like, hey, I'm fully on the extend Quasi train. The narrative is flipped, where like half the replies were like, Quasi, yes, Kevin needs to earn it, and I'm like, what? And a lot of people said his play calling is back and it's a problematic. I've taken an overhead view. Here's the only critique that I think I have of Kevin O'Connell's play calling is I think once he comes up with a game plan and a vision for a game, and we saw this with Dobbs. Dobbs' best games were when he wasn't expected to do anything because he literally couldn't. But once Kevin O'Connell's like, cool, you're the quarterback of my offense, go do this, it didn't match what Dobbs did.
Mhm.
We saw it once Aaron Jones went out. Ty Chandler had a ton of runs up the middle. And obviously, he had that one pitch that he dropped. People are blaming Sam for that. That was on Ty Chandler.
Ty Chandler sucked today. All
But,
right.
but that shouldn't change what you want to do.
No.
Where we know Ty Chandler's strengths are not Aaron Jones. He's an outside, around the corner back who needs to pick up speed. But we kept running run plays that are Aaron Jones' strength, not his. So if I have any critique of Kevin O'Connell, it's sometimes he always plans for his starters, and then when things kind of fall out, it seems like maybe he doesn't want to make the adjustments for the guys he does have in. That's it. But I don't think to your point, like a lot of these plays he was calling today, guys were getting wide open. Like
Mhm.
Munt was open a ton. And when Hawkinson comes back, you're not missing TJ Hawkinson like you would miss Johnny Munt. Like, as far as like just not seeing, you're not gonna miss seeing an open TJ Hawkinson. And if you do, he has every right as a top tight end to tell you you missed him. I don't think Munt's going in being like, yo, what up, bro? I was open. Why'd you look Justin Jefferson's way?
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's talk about one person who I think has to be called out. Um, the saboteur. Is a Caleb Evans trying to injure his own teammates at this point?
I don't. I don't know. All I remember for him today was the roughing or whatever that penalty's called, running into the returner. Like, why?
So, so he did that. Well, no, that got called back. He got no. Sorry, you're right. So he got thrown into the returner, I think.
Oh, did he?
Yes. So that happened. He
I had to
got
walk
picked
away.
up and thrown into the returner. He
No, no,
then,
no, no. Wait, are you
or his
sure?
own guy.
No, so
Yeah.
so you're thinking about the Brandon Powell thing where he got
No,
somebody.
that was different. That was
Oh,
a
okay.
separate play.
Okay.
No, a Caleb, it wasn't like his fault, but it just looked funny. He got tossed into the
Oh,
Jets
I didn't.
returner.
I had to walk away
Yeah,
at the
he
replay. I
got
kind
blocked
of.
and the guy lifted him. That was at the beginning. He then ran into Brandon Powell, and then he ran. Before that, he ran into the punt returner. So he had three really bad punt related plays. The one of him getting picked up, he didn't do anything wrong, but it's just objectively funny to see your gunner get lifted up by another man and tossed. Um, but what was he doing on that Brandon Powell return?
I
That
don't know.
one was inexcusable.
I don't know what anything he does, honestly. So I don't have a ton of insight on that. I don't understand him at all.
That was
He's worse Cameron Dantzler. That's what he
you've
is.
said that before, but it's always funny.
I know.
And he's immediately goes on TikTok and is like 4-0, we out here, and everybody and he had to turn off the comments because the comments were like, "Who's we?"
That's the
Um,
thing. He's like a really good like form tackler, I guess, behind the line of scrimmage, like Cam Dantzler was, but he can't cover
cover or do special teams.
at all.
He's like one of those guys who I think is just going to stick around because Kwesi can't fully get rid of the 2022 draft class. He has to have something because Ryan Wright, him, and Ed Ingram, none of them had the best games. Ed Ingram did his usual thing where he wasn't very good, and then he had a couple plays where he looked like the best guard in league history, as he does. Um, but one last person, the MVP, other than probably Andrew Van Ginkel for that touchdown,
Think I know who you're gonna say.
Walmart Willie, Will the
Will the
Thrill,
Thrill. That's my
the
guy.
croc wearing kicker with a long of 54. That
Mm-hmm.
one kick, that last one at the end, uh, uh,
Scared, but yeah,
little poop came out for a second, a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah, that got a little dicey. But it went in. No haircut for Will, and he got a game ball.
yeah. No misses yet. No extra point misses. No. Oh boy. Oh boy. There's one right here.
Why are you saying this?
Sorry. We're all
Why
thinking it,
are I mean, it is the least stressful part of our game right now.
which is crazy.
Because the rest of special teams is a nightmare. I hate punting. I hate getting punts. Every time we either punt or we get a punt return, I am full on having a panic attack.
Same. Pretty much
I will
same.
say that Ivan Pace roughing the kicker penalty was kind of bullshit when you watch the replay. He was
I
on the ground, kind of rolled into his leg. I don't think that was intentional. I think at worst, because they have the 5 yard and the 15 yard call, I think that should have been the 5. I don't think that was worth a 15 and a first.
they explained it on the broadcast. Like
I couldn't hear the audio very well.
I was annoyed by it, but they had what's his name from New York come in like, hey, what do you think about this? Dean Blandino or something?
No.
Am I
That's a
crazy?
different guy. No, yeah.
Yeah, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. They brought him
Yeah.
in. It was like, hey, what do you think about this play? He's like, I think this is the right call. I mean, he obviously is not intentional, but he did commit the penalty. He was there. The rule's the rule. It's annoying, but it is what it is.
Yeah. How do I need to find this guy in my Mike Pereira.
Yeah, Pereira.
Pereira. Yeah, yeah. I was like, how do you pronounce that name? I was like, I know how to say it, but actually reading it just threw me off. I mean, here's the thing. Overall, it's not negative to point out concerns about sustainability. The likelihood this team goes what with a by 17-0 division 20-0 and wins the Super Bowl. The odds any team does that, and it's down to us and the Chiefs, I think. Are the Chiefs on a bye?
They play tomorrow night.
Okay. The odds either right now we are the only 5-0 team in the NFL. The Vikings are far exceeding expectations on every level, and we have a lot to be excited about. But we said from the start of this show that we are so excited to kick this podcast off in an era where the Vikings were building for years to come, which is something we haven't done in a long time. We can take a step back and say the Vikings are 5-0. It's super exciting. It's super awesome. We're going to make the playoffs this year if everything keeps to pace. But also, we're in an incredible spot for the future and long term. Both can be true. It's not negative about this year, but it's also saying, hey, I want to win multiple Super Bowls. I want to compete every year. I don't want a one-hit wonder like we had with Keenum.
The standards change from your expectations from the offseason when you start 5-0 and you've only trailed for 3 minutes out of the 300 minutes you've played so far this year. By the
Yeah, still.
way, you want to be negative real quick? 6 teams since 1990 have started 5-0 and missed the playoffs. The Vikings have done it twice. We are also the most recent team to do it in 2016. There's
Yeah,
negativity.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Really enjoyed that. I have a picture still hidden on my Instagram of me in my Bridgewater jersey where I went on Snapchat. I took a picture like this and added the -0. And I almost posted it today, but I was like, last time I posted this picture, shit hit the fan real fast, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, don't do
Um,
it.
yeah, no. It's there. I mean, it exists, but I was like, should I? But Vikings enter the bye. We have a lot to discuss and also probably not a whole lot to discuss going into the bye. Probably just kind of take a look at maybe health trajectories and maybe take an overhead view. Um, but yeah, this team's good. And they're also still not 100% of what Kevin and Kwesi want them to be for the future. And that's intriguing. That's exciting. It's not
So true.
negative. It's if you like I don't know. I didn't it's like I don't know much about Dragon Ball Z. I didn't really watch it that much, but I guess it's like I guess there's levels to Super Saiyan. It's just like evolving a Pokemon. We're not at the top yet, but we're in the middle, and that's better than we thought would be.
So true.
Look at me with my anime. I'm such an anime guy. It's so
Yeah.
hip.
Zero idea what you're talking about. I like women.
Yeah, well, my wife would assume I do too. But with that, we will see you guys. Hey, it's okay to talk about the ups and the downs of the season. Doesn't mean you're negative. But what is negative is smelling bad. So make sure you get some Dr. Squatch. Brev, what all they got? We got deodorant, we got soap, we got ball deodorant?
Ball lotion. We got,
Ball lotion.
yeah, we got, they have, I think they used to have candles, but they've got, wipes. They've got
They've
freaking
got wipes?
shampoo. Yeah, they got shampoo. They got conditioner. They got freaking bar soap. They got freaking body wash. They got freaking face wash. They got freaking lip balm. They got freaking a pube trimmer. It's awesome. It rocks.
Just hearing the word pube trimmer to end our show. It wouldn't the Vikings are 5-0 and we're over here saying the word pube trimmer, and I find that just kind of funny to me.
Well, you can vote next month.